We're here at Citrix Synergy 2018 in Anaheim. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your role at the company?
Sure. My name is Sridhar Mullapudi. I'm a VP of Product Management, and I lead the product group for Workspace Services.
Great. And we just talked with Joe a little bit about the Workspace, but maybe you can go into a little more detail of some of the announcements that were made today around Workspace and how that's affecting your division.
Sure. One of the key announcements we made is Citrix Workspace, unification of the workspace, and the goal behind that is to kind of build what we call a general purpose workspace that's applicable for every user in the organization. Right? Doesn't matter what type of application they use, web, SaaS application, mobile application, or virtualized application, they'll be able to get their work done, by having this unified workspace experience. And it kind of comes in like 3 different flavors, as we talked about, whether it's a web-based experience, because that's the type of device or access point for you, or it's a native application like a Windows or a Mac application, or it's a mobile application because you're on a mobile device, and it's the same application that's talking to our Citrix Cloud and Workspace services that are behind powering all the unified workspace that you saw today at Synergy.
And I guess that it's always been a challenge to try to bring everything cohesively together. So how have you guys overcome some of those challenges and made it more cohesive?
Yeah, a big part of this has been integrating the products as well as the cloud services together, right? So there's been a lot of work in integrating all these things together because you're trying to move away from point products. Not that we don't have it or we're not going to sell that, but trying to move away from point products and building solutions. And a big part of that is integration, right? So we focus a lot on integrating all these products and cloud services in the back end, so it's very seamless for users, or for administrators and others who are deploying it. And for users, we kept it really simple, right? Workspace app is where you start and get your work done. And it doesn't matter what type of application or content or what workflow or what are you trying to get done. And the beauty about it is the user doesn't even care where the applications and all the infrastructure or any complexity, because usually it could be their legacy on-prem or cloud or new services. It's all hidden for them, right? It's still this one place where they go kind of get their work done, and whatever device it is. And that's the beauty of it. And I think the Workspace app, kind of brings all that together for the user.
Well, you talked a little bit about workflow.
Yeah.
How does that workflow, how do they create those workflows?
Yeah, so one of the things that we built into Workspace app itself is workflows that's actually powered by ShareFile and the content collaboration platform that's built into it. So when you're working on documents and other things, you can actually initiate workflows, whether it's you're trying to get approvals or getting signatures done and things like that. So that's built into it. Plus, we are expanding in the future as well to have other third-party integration for workflows as well, because now you're going to interact with not just Office and other documents, but third-party SaaS applications where you might have to initiate a workflow that cuts across multiple SaaS applications. But you can all do that within the context of the workspace.
Now, does that also, the workflows, does that also control, or maybe it's a different thing, policies where security comes into play, or you have different security based on their location, like we talked about with Joe. If you're at a Starbucks, you might have a different security level that has to be 2-level authentication rather than a single sign-on.
Right. So one of the things on the back side of the workspace and how you define is, and PJ talked about it a little bit, I don't think he spent too much time on it, is this notion of a common policy framework. So, where you can actually define what that policy is, right? So once you define those policies, and it could be device, application, authentication policies, but it's just uniform across every type of access scenario. So yes, if you're coming in, for example, in a Starbucks from Chromebook that you don't own or we don't have a good security posture, the policy will enforce, what type of authentication you need. You need maybe a step-up authentication, more factor authentication, or you might be denied certain access to some content or applications, or be redirected to something else and things like that. But it's all defined by this common policy engine in the back, and the user is just, as they're moving between devices and applications, and the security posture of the device and the context can get the right experience.
And I guess, what are some of the things that you see that will be coming in the future? I don't know how much you can talk about, but where are some of the areas that you guys are looking to expand the Workspace product?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a ton of innovation that's happening, what we showed today, and things that are coming out in the 90 days as well. But there's a lot of other things beyond the periphery, like looking 6 to 12 months into what we can do to Workspace, right? One great aspect of it is focus on workspace productivity, right? I think one example, Christian talked about it, on stage as well today, talking about this notion of, micro apps and, bringing micro apps into this workspace, because a lot of times you want to, do simple tasks or get things done without actually going to apps and, spending a lot of time. Like, how do I cut that time by integrating micro apps that actually get the task done, even though that means interacting with 4 different applications, and that's that's saving productivity, right? And second, we talked a lot about can we provide analytics into workspace and workspace productivity as well, not just the security analytics you talked, but workspace productivity. We talked about obviously we talked a lot about secure SaaS applications. How do we secure it? How do we secure them, provide SSO and access to that, but how can we actually enhance the productivity, especially when users are interacting with these different applications, sharing content between them, and how do we improve productivity for them as well, right? And obviously things like voice integrations and other things going on into the workspace. Third-party ecosystem, right? Having rich third-party ecosystem into the workspace is another big priority. We talked a little bit about ServiceNow and self-service integration, but we want this to be a platform for a lot of third parties to integrate as well. So those are some of the things we're thinking about more beyond the next 90 days and over the 6 to 12 months,
right,
from a workspace perspective.
Great. Thanks for taking the time to speak with VMblog, and we hope you have a great show.
Thank you.
Now.